Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Lewis. And if you're new to the channel, this channel specifically focuses on all things engineering, technology, and finances. In today's video, I got a special one for you today. Let's talk about credit cards. Should you have them? Do you make good money off of them? Common myths about keeping up with your credit score. We're gonna tackle all these things today. Stick around. All right, so before we take a deep dive on credit cards, let's talk about what are credit cards? How are they broken down? And they can be broken down into two categories. The two types of credit cards that you can have is what's called either an issuer or a network. So when we're talking about an issuer, you can think of them as a bank or a credit union that issues you your credit card. So think of like Chase, Wells Fargo, Discover, an American Express. Now, when we're talking about a network, think about a network as American Express, MasterCard, Visa. These companies are networks that actually process your transactions. So make sure we have that clear distinction. You have the network and you have an issuer. Now, a little fun fact for you. American Express and Discover are both a network and an issuer at the same time. All right, so let's jump into how do credit cards make their money, right? So there's really four main ways that I have found that credit cards have made the majority of their money. And we're gonna take a deep dive into each one of them. All right, so the first one on the list is fees. The second one on the list is interest. The third is network fees. And the fourth, which is really interesting, is your data. All right, so jumping into the fees. So one aspect that they'll charge you in fee is an annual fee. So you may have a credit card, say like an American Express, that will charge you a certain amount per year. I have seen them as $95 or even higher, depending on which card you choose, in order to be able to take advantage of the card and the perks that they offer. All right, so moving along in the category of fees, we have what's called a cash advance fee. Now this fee is typically charged when you use your credit card at, say for example, an ATM to pull out cash and be able to use that cash in order to buy your goods and services. And they typically charge you a hefty fee for that. All right, so moving along in the category of fees, the next fee that we're gonna talk about is a balance transfer fees. So this fee is when you have a balance on another credit card and you are interested in bringing that balance to your new credit card that you opened up. And lastly, in the category of fees, you have your late fee. So typically you'll find a late fee when you have a certain date in order to make a credit card payment and you happen to miss that date and you don't make a payment at all, you'll typically be assessed of what's called this late fee. All right, so let's move on to the next category of how credit cards make their money. So the next category is interest. According to this recent article, 50% of Americans carry over a balance month to month. So what does that mean? That means that every single month, most of these Americans, so 50%, are not paying off their credit cards in full and carrying the balance over, and they're charged interest on that balance that they're carried over. All right, so the next category in which credit cards make their money is through network fees. Network fees are associated when you, the consumer, goes out and purchase something. So let's say we go to Walmart. Walmart is the merchant, and the merchant has to pay now the credit card companies for processing that transaction for them. And typically you'll see it anywhere from 1 to 3% of the transaction amount. So even though you will not see that charge, the merchant pays them, and it's another avenue in which they are able to produce revenue. All right, and the last category in which credit cards can make their money is data. Let's take a look at this data and see how valuable this data is. So as you can see here, at restaurants in total for the whole entire year, I've only spent $414.34. Compare that to, let's take a look at how much we're spending for supermarkets, right? So I spent a total of $4,149.73 in order to buy food for my family. So this is how valuable the data is. I am more inclined to buy at supermarkets because that's where I constantly buy and use my credit card, right? As opposed to if I were to go back into going out to eat, we barely go out to eat. If you look at $414 over a 9-month span. So that gives you an idea of how valuable your data is. All right, so the next category that we're gonna talk about credit cards is the rewards aspect. And this is the one that people go nuts about. They always talk about getting the points, about using the points to travel, to buy stuff, right? And let's take a look at how valuable these points really are. So as we can see here, for the card that I have is the Discover It Cashback Rewards credit card. And so it allows you to earn money or earn rewards in different ways. So one of the ways in which you can earn cash back is they have a 5% cash back on purchases on different places. And you can earn them based on what quarter it is and what particular time of the month is. Another way you can earn rewards besides the 5% is you have 1% cash back on all other purchases automatically. So if you don't happen to fall into one of the rewards for the different quarter that you have it in, you will always get 1% back on that money. And the last way that you can earn cash back rewards and credit cards is the 2x cashback match. So you basically get unlimited dollar for dollar match on all the cashback you earn only on the first year automatically. So after your first year, this no longer applies. You would only have the first 2 ways. Let's take a look at actual data and see exactly how much money you can really make. All right, so this is a fantastic view of everything that I have done from year-to-date activity. So from January 1st all the way to about September 6th now, I have spent a total of $21,431.70. And as you can see here, I made a total of $21,114.13 in payments. So there's still a little balance here with some of the recent things that I have charged on here. It gives you some perspective as to how much money I have spent and how much money I have made in cash back. So if we do some simple math, all right, so let's do the $191.36 that I have in cash back. And we're gonna divide that by 21,431.70. So that gives us a 0.008 rate of return. You're not gonna win with these points, unfortunately. So now that we looked at the reward points, let's jump into some of the myths that you hear about credit cards. Most folks will always say, well, I will always pay off my credit card and not pay any interest. But interestingly enough, we talked about this and pointed at this a little bit earlier, is there's an article here that is on CNBC, and it talks about how almost half of Americans are now carrying credit card debt and more of it. And unfortunately, 47% of US adults, so about 120 million people, currently have credit card debt. That is a staggering number. So folks to be able to talk about that they pay it off at the end of the month, always on time and full, chances are they're lying to you. The next thing you'll constantly hear about credit cards is you need them in order to build up your credit. If you look at what a credit score is really for, a credit score is just for a means to have companies evaluate how well of a borrower you are in order to borrow money. If you're interested in borrowing money for the rest of your life and paying interest in order to do it, then your credit score will be high. If you want to move past the day-to-day life where folks are revolving balances and they're paying a lot of interest in order to do so, I wouldn't focus so much on your credit score. So the next thing you'll constantly hear a lot too is credit cards provide a level of security. Most credit cards will have either a Visa, MasterCard logo. And if you look at a debit card will also have that Visa and MasterCard logo. So taking a look at Visa's website, Visa has a zero liability policy, and this liability policy actually works with both your credit card and your debit card. So if you have an issue with your debit card or your credit card, Visa will cover you in the event of a loss, and they'll do an investigation to make sure it actually is a loss, of course. but the money will be returned back to you immediately as soon as you follow their 3-step process here. And again, that counts for both debit cards and credit cards. And if we take a look also as well, MasterCard has the same level of protection. They have a zero liability policy as well. So they will also cover you in the event that there's misuse on your card, whether it's both a debit card or a credit card. So you made it this far in the video, and let's talk about the verdict. Should you not get a credit card? Or is it even worth it? And my answer is a credit card does not really provide much value. I spent $21,000 in an exchange for currently where I'm sitting at $191 in rewards, and it's gonna jump up to $214. In my opinion, credit cards are not the place to put your time and effort in. All right, folks, so that's all for this video. Hopefully you liked it. Hopefully you learned something from it. If you found this video to be helpful, go ahead and hit the like button and also the subscribe button as well for content down the road. And if you know somebody who struggles with credit cards, or maybe they should learn something from this video, feel free to share the video with them. So hopefully you found some value out of this video. I'll see you guys on the next one.